We're halfway through 2025, and the best movie I've seen this year isn't Lilo and Stitch, Mission Impossible 11, or Sinners. It's not even Superman, though it is kind of a superhero flick. Of course, I'm talking about the movie with all the buzz in 2025, the nearly 30-year-old Japanese comedy Supermarket Woman. Many a great drama can make us reflect on the most exciting elements of life, like crime, romance, violence, nightmares, unicorns, robot cops, romance in the Victorian era, or sandworms. But I don't spend my days getting into fights or falling in love with one-horned android detectives, so I don't have much cause to reflect on them. But do you know what I did a lot of in the past year, raising 5 kids? Go to the grocery store. I think our food budget quadrupled when we went from 4 to 7 family members last summer because all my kids eat meat and I don't, and so I was regularly cooking like 6-ish meals a day. My 2 favorite food haunts, Costco and the Asian grocery store down the street, became like second homes for me. Despite living at them most of the past year, I can't say I thought too much about the institution of the grocery store. Oh sure, I meal planned, compared prices, and even mapped circuitous routes through the aisles based on my shopping list, but ultimately I was there to take and go home. Supermarket Woman disturbed my ignorant slumber, unveiling the inner workings of food markets and finding in their machinations not only corruption and cause for disgust, but the mundane beauty of groceries and the hard work, ingenuity, and love that goes into feeding people. Not from the perception of the chef, which I know all too well, but the supplier. Considering no video essay on this perfect film exists, I guess I'll take it upon myself to tell you about it so you too might never look at a grocery store the same way again. Supermarket Woman is about a failing supermarket and the retired housewife whose mission is to save it. The titular supermarket is named Honest Mart, owned by the lovable loser Goro. It is a total mess and in danger of dying completely when Goro's brother opens a wonderfully named discount demon down the street. Scouting out the competition on opening day, Goro bumps into an old classmate, the titular woman, Nobuko Miyamoto's Hanako. Hanako's sharp eye for the deceptive practices of the devil's grocer and the shortcomings of Honest Mart, always accompanied by her catchphrase, "A housewife knows," impresses Goro, and he offers her a job on the spot. Together the pair, well, really just Hanako, works to transform Honest Mart into a first-rate supermarket, weeding out corruption and inspiring its employees to take pride in their work. Okay, at first blush, I feel like I just described to you the plot of like a Disney Channel original movie, but director Juzo Itami squeezes every ounce of life and meaning possible out of the structure of a mediocre dramedy. Honing in on what almost any other film would consider insignificant, Supermarket Woman argues that the devil's in the details. Hanako has a nose for identifying minor problems within the supermarket, nearly all of which disrespect the customer in one way or another. While we as an audience might not consciously think of these issues often, upon seeing them on the silver screen, they come across as entirely obvious problems that every supermarket needs to solve to keep us coming back. Some examples include sweeping the dirty floors, making sure sales are well communicated, putting carts back in a timely manner, not repackaging food to conceal when it was originally made, poorly organized shelves. You know, you may not notice these things, but your brain sure does. While Hanako has no trouble coming up with areas of improvement for Honest Mart, convincing the employees who work there to change their habits isn't so easy. Her most potent challenge is getting them to care. The employees who consistently interface with the customer adopt Hanako's advice with ease because pleasing the customer both makes their jobs easier and more fulfilling. The back of house workers, butchers, managers, hot meal preppers, and sushi chefs are skeptical of this overstimulated avatar of customer satisfaction who wants to change the way they do things. The reason for their disagreement is varied. The head sushi chef values tradition for tradition's sake. The women who prep food in the morning don't believe their product can get better, and the head butcher is embezzling Kobe beef for personal gain. In each case, Hanako convinces the real people who prepare the store's food that Honest Mart can be a great store, if only they have the right principles to change their habits and fit them. Halfway through the film, Hanako and Goro explain Supermarket Woman's thesis statement to the viewer. Looking out over the neighborhood their grocery store serves, Goro explains that Honest Mart will never be the biggest, gain the most profit, or serve the biggest discounts. But Hanako argues it can still be the best grocery store in Japan if it is the most shopper-friendly market, because it is the customers that make a supermarket. While the focus of Supermarket Woman's narrative is on the people who live and work at Honest Mart, ultimately the true benefactors of their efforts are not they themselves, but the unforgiving and often ungrateful people they serve. In every action she takes, Hanako keeps the shopper in mind and highlights what they value. It may seem like a trite ideal, a kind of the customer is always right framing, and while the film does prioritize the opinions of the store's clientele, it does not treat them as some kind of market god that must be catered to. Rather, Supermarket Woman argues for a grocery store that respects the customer, does not deceive them, and makes their needs as important to the operation of the store as profit, or, more often, what is easy, because everyone else does it. I spent immeasurable time in grocery stores as a kid. I suspect you did too. The 3 different parental figures in my life, though, all treated the grocery store differently. My mom was there to get in and get out, wanting as few distractions as possible. I usually just went to the magazine rack and read Cosmopolitan, Electronic Gaming Monthly, or Shonen Jump. With her, I was entirely ignorant of why we were there in the first place. If I had any dealings related to the receipt, it was some candy item I begged for at checkout. My dad was a former grocery store manager, and to some degree treated everything at the store with a bit of suspect. He would always buy the meat with the latest expiration date, have me check each egg in the carton to ensure none were cracked, and cared more about getting a good deal than anything else. Finally, for my grandma, the grocery store was a place of inspiration. She would find some item on sale and her mind would churn with what to make with it. She went to have a conversation with the supermarket on what to make her family this week, open to any suggestions it might have. One thing that strikes me about Supermarket Woman is that each of these 3 individuals I just described is represented in the customer base, often combined into one. People want a stress-free experience. People want to get a good deal. And people want to be inspired in the grocery store. As I grow older and my culinary acumen grows, I find myself turning more into my grandma, as guided by what I find in the market as I am by my own preparations. A few months ago, I got a new kind of tomato. I bought it in bulk and had TLTs for a week. I saw a lettuce pack that looked perfect and started eating salads with a dressing I make myself from a similarly inspired purchase of nice balsamic vinegar. It's incredibly unimportant, but this conversation I get to have is the fruition of all the work that goes into making the grocery stores I shop at hum. Though, just like how I didn't really appreciate my grandma's food at the time, and my kids don't meaningfully appreciate mine now, the work of the supermarket is thankless, unnoticed. When I was younger, grocery stores seemed to serve their communities. Pretty much my whole family had at some point worked at the grocery store my grandma shopped at, because it was the only one serving their small rural community. Similarly, my small town had 3 grocery stores, which served the east, central, and west neighborhoods, respectively. Now, my grandma's town has a Walmart. My town has a Walmart with a grocery store too. Their prices are low. I can't complain looking at the receipts. But when I'm there, I don't have a conversation with the store. A grocery store should serve a community, but with massive chains taking over the entire grocery store ecosystem with a nation as their consumer base and not a neighborhood, that sense of community is lost. Or mostly lost. It's no coincidence that my 2 favorite supermarkets in Milwaukee both serve ethnic groups. One, the Hmong community, and the other, the Mexican community. One Mexican grocery store I love, appropriately named Supermercado, is one of the nicest places in my whole city. It's not fancy, but it's always well stocked, has great produce, is wonderfully laid out, and the checkout lines are breezy fast, despite the fact that the place is always busy. I only visit sporadically because I live on the other side of town, but it's a dream of a grocery store. The Asian market I frequent isn't as aesthetically pleasing, but it feels alive and has the best selection of foods. I never regret my weekly visits. What makes both stores special is not that they have the best deals or the most modern setup. Indeed, the Asian market feels like I walked into the corpse of a Kmart. Maybe it is. And Supermercado feels like stepping into an 80s grocery store. But both of them are locally owned by members of their community, for members of their community. That matters. It makes their management of their stores much more shopper friendly. Why wouldn't they respect the people who shop there? Practically everyone working at each establishment is part of its community. Most definitely shops there now and has probably shopped at that store for their whole lives. For them to disrespect the customer, then, would be to disrespect themselves. Supermarket Woman is ultimately about community. One of my favorite details in the film is that the extras in the background of the store, the shoppers, are reused again and again and again until they become characters in their own right by the end of the film. This reinforces that Honest Mart isn't for everyone. It's for the people who shop there, and it structures its shape around those people's needs. It's not random people who go to a grocery store, after all. It's those who live in community around it. Supermarket Woman understands this well, and even in its most superfluous details, reminds us of that community. Until I watched Supermarket Woman, I never thought of grocery stores like this. Sure, they mattered to me, but I didn't comprehend just how important they are to their communities, how much effort it takes to maintain them, and how thankless the labor within them tends to be. Now, when I step into a grocery store, a whole new dimension of experience is open to me, one inspired by the exuberance of one of the best characters I've ever seen put to screen. If that's not enough to get you to watch it, it's also got a ton of laughs and a car chase sequence if that's what you watch movies for. As for me, I'm going to go to the grocery store and get some food for my family. I'm Era, checking out.